Today is a big day for Tata Motors because the Tata Harrier has finally broken cover. It's a media drive today here in Kimsar, and talking to me about the latest Tata is the Managing Director himself, Guenter Butschek. Guenter, clearly a big day for you because this is a very significant car. In fact, probably it's the first time the cooperation between Jaguar, Land Rover and Tata Motors, the first time we've seen a cooperation like this in 10 years since Tata Motors took over Jaguar Land Rover.
Now, I think you mentioned it at the beginning, it's a great day for Tata Motors because of the product as such, but at the same point of time also celebrating the first result of a concrete project-related collaboration between Jaguar Land Rover on the one and Tata Motors India on the other side. And you know the background. A couple of years ago in the meanwhile, we went to search for a solution to actually expand our product portfolio beyond the 4.3 meters, because we had one architecture in the make that was supposed to cover everything up to 4.3 meters with all kind of different derivatives and top hats. But we actually thought if we would really like to become a partner for life for our customers from the first buy all the way, connecting the aspirations of the customers during their life cycle, that we also need something, or that we needed something beyond 4.3 meters. We went to talk to Jaguar Land Rover. As I usually and casually say, they opened the warehouse and they came out of the warehouse with the D8, where we said it's a nice architecture. It would actually fit indeed what we had in mind as a first product, as it is the Harrier today. But at the same point of time, we said that also needs to fit into India. But it also needs to fit to Tata Motors India, because Tata Motors plays in a market segment where we have a certain price elasticity, where we know that we can possibly take customers from a value purchase, even with the Harrier, into a premium product, but it needs to be extremely controlled.
So what you're saying is, obviously you had to look at the cost factor as well, because clearly Jaguar Land Rover typically high cost for their markets that they serve, and the Indian market being so cost sensitive. So was cost also a challenge, because here you've got this very sophisticated platform, which is a very costly platform, and was cost a challenge, and did you have to kind of innovate and do some really smart, let's say, Tata thinking to meet your final price point?
It's relatively simple. Cost is going to be derived from the price point you assume you can reach with a certain product in the Indian market with a cross reference to the competition. And as you said, Indian market is a highly competitive one, and the Indian customer is very cost or price sensitive. So, and then you actually take your contribution margin, you get to your cost, and then is the question, where do you effectively spend which portion of the cost? The D8, as it was initially used by Jaguar Land Rover, was largely made out of aluminium. Aluminium, from a cost point of view, didn't work for us, and also from a productionized,
I'm sure even you must have had a problem finding certain suppliers, like hollow extrusions from aluminium. I don't think there are suppliers for that.
That's exactly the point. Also, from a production point of view, you have limits as far as certain aluminium components and production technologies are available. And that's actually triggered, together with our JLR colleagues, a thought process. Can we possibly maintain the structure as far as all the relevant points for the structural integrity of the architecture is concerned, but at the same point of time to replace aluminium by a different material mix? And you know, the majority of today's chassis of the Harrier is high strength steel, right, which gives us light construction on the one hand side, structural integrity and stiffness on the other side, and that gives indeed a very unique ride and handling to the Harrier without compromising on the D8 or on the Land Rover handling and ride capability.
But I just want to ask you, you're talking about the market being very price sensitive. Yes, it is. But I want to ask you a very a straight question, rather blunt question. Do you think the Tata brand also has a bit of challenge? You can't go as upmarket as you would like yet. I'll be very honest, if there was a Toyota badge on this, maybe your pricing could have been different. Do you think you still have to earn that kind of premiumness which the customers maybe don't associate with your brand?
I leave the answer to your question with you. And I actually would like to leave the answer to the question with the customers, because as you said, this is a premium offer. We have not yet announced the pricing because this is due with the commercial launch.
Yes, my point is how premium can Tata Motors go?
A couple of weeks, but we have taken certain assumptions how much premium we can go and we need to go with the product and how much premium we can go on the pricing side, and this has effectively triggered the cost targets internally. And the team has done a stunning job during the design of this product because it kept the product quality, the product features, the product premiumness on target. So it delivered on the specification, while at the same point of time we were able, and it's something where we take a good sense of pride, we were able to actually deliver the product was in the cost bracket.
And also, Guenter, what's very significant is this is the first product of an all-new platform, the two platforms you've been talking about. The X45 one is still to come on the new platform, but until now we've had all legacy platforms. So this is clearly the first new platform. Were there a lot of learnings? I mean, and can we see, let's say, more derivatives of this platform?
Oh yeah, I think we have never made a mystery out of the fact that on the one hand side we will move towards the two architectures, Alpha and this one, the Omega architecture. By the way, first vehicle on the Alpha architecture is due to be launched mid of the next calendar year. Right. And we always said these two architectures will actually be the new architectures for all new top hats to come.
So this will be the two pillars for Tata Motors going forward.
These are going to be the two pillars for the future. What you also know is that all of these products are very modular in their structure. As they are very modular, they have a high degree of commonality. Even if you put different top hats on the same architecture, we maintain a high level of commonality. Commonality gives you economies of scale, and this is pretty much the need of the hour we need in comparison to the past. We had lots of products on relatively low volume with a low degree of commonality. The future is modularity, commonality, sharing one architecture, bringing different top hats, leveraging the initial investment in development, but also investment in the capacity for industrialization in our factory, but also with the suppliers. And at the same point of time, we are gonna have the opportunity that we bring more different top hats due to the degree of commonality in a shorter period of time, and we can de-risk each and every launch because the majority of the vehicle is known, and honestly speaking, if it is a hatch or if it is a sedan, while the rest of the vehicle is pretty much known, it's gonna be a complete different play than what we had in the past.
So Guenter, what I want to talk about is costs, because to be honest, that's really been a challenge for Tata Motors. I mean, there have been a lot of inherent and legacy cost inefficiencies in the company. So would you say that the Harrier, it's been a good exercise in being more cost efficient in your whole process? How much would you say, let's say, your processes have driven cost efficiency into this? Because clearly with your older architectures, whether it's a body on frame or the X1 or even X0 to a certain extent, I mean, there are certain legacy issues, whether it's in the manufacturing process, supply chain, whatever. But in this, you could kind of start from a pretty clean sheet of paper. So I want you to just share with me the cost efficiencies that are coming with the new platforms.
If you are fishing for a percentage, you're not going to get a percentage from me as usual. But I just would like to make one point. Cost efficiency and competitiveness of a product is not going to be accomplished and achieved after the launch. This is going to be. This is actually going to be baked in the specification right at the beginning, where you need to have a very clear cost picture against your specification, and where the specification finally needs to follow your cost constraints in order to make sure that we have a straightforward approach. In the moment you determine the specification, you have the structure and the way you develop the product. Each and every product development team has its cost targets, not only on the material cost, but also on tooling, etc. As a holistic cost approach is concerned. And then each and every change, independently which phase of the product development it might occur, always needs to be challenged against the cost targets you have for the target. And this is something where on this product, but also on all the other future products, we have become much more rigorous in our approach. We have a very stringent approach as far as change management is concerned, with a change management board. And believe me, to get an approval of a deviation which is going to increase the cost, for which we do not see an opportunity to translate it into price, or where we do not see a direct correlation to an added value for the customer, is an extremely difficult task that also led to an internal approach where certain changes, which possibly would have been raised in the past and which would have been silently accepted, just because of the fact that they needed to obtain a public approval, so to say, internally public approval, has changed the attitude completely. The other point is, with the turnaround, shifting from transformation to turnaround 1.5 years ago, and very stringent effort on VE, value analysis, value engineering, should costing exercises where we put each and every of our own design for a cost review, where we tear down lots of competitive products, where we compare the design, and we did it again, a should costing exercise. All of these learnings at the same point of time also flew into the new product developments in order to make sure that we actually capture the potential before we launch the product, before we finally tool up a product, and not after we have tooled up the product and then we scratch our head and say, how can we justify an engineering change which looks per se very attractive, but due to the fact that we have already something else industrialized, we first need to amortize the one before we can actually go for the other one.
Right.
So it was an intensive learning, and we have come a long way, but on the other side we acknowledge that we are still in the midst of the learning process, and there's much more to come.
Still work to be done. So
Absolutely.
I just want to again talk on the significance of the Harrier, because it's your most premium product, it's your flagship. This is what shapes the brand in many ways. There are a lot of high expectations from this. There are also a lot of customers who might be skeptical about this. A lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities. I mean, what are your expectations from this product, not just in the market, but what it's going to be doing to Tata Motors as a company?
Look, I mentioned it earlier. It takes Tata Motors from value to premium. But as I would say, customers can expect an affordable premium, because the car as such represents a complete different definition of SUVs in the Indian market. High value, at the same point of time, complete different experience, and possibly beyond what customers have expected from Tata Motors so far. But as you said, it comes also with lots of expectations related to the product, but also related to the experience. What it means, we also had lots of discussions with our dealers in order to recruit fresh people for the sales force, to really put it a different kind of sales force with a different approach towards, because the customers are also going to be premium. If I have a premium product, my customer is going to be premium. My sales experience needs to be a premium experience where customers say, oh wow, this is indeed all very consistent. And I think the experience needs to be seamless, the experience needs to be consistent in order to make it a premium experience where customers say, yo, Tata Motors has really done its homework. Tata Motors has stepped up in each and every respect. And by the way, it doesn't end with the sales process. It needs to continue right into the after-sales process. But there I think we have proven by the latest GD Power CSI statistic that we are structurally improving our score, and that customers, because it's all based on customers' feedback, have obviously acknowledged that Tata Motors has changed a lot in order to really make itself in front of the customers a premium offering.
And last question, Guenter, what more can we see in terms of collaboration between Tata Motors and JLR? I mean, for me, one logical thing would be powertrain, but their powertrain is very expensive. Do you think if the brand goes in the right direction, we could see an AJ200 in this as a niche or something? What more collaboration could we see?
I would like to take it more in generic terms. In our industry, we usually talk about ACEs, the famous four for autonomous, connected, electric, and shared. And you have possibly recently heard me saying it's not ACEs. In India, it's a predominant focus on CES, not on tax, additional taxes, on CES, where it stands for connected, electric, shared, and safe. And if you take the four letters and you actually look into the technology required, and you look into the warehouse of JLR, which of the technologies already in an advanced stage, which doesn't necessarily mean it's not attractive to Tata Motors. It can shorten our learning, we can possibly look into the opportunities again, how to get an existing technology into India by reviewing not only the cost bracket, but also looking into the features. And then you actually see how many opportunities might sit at this point of time in this warehouse, on which we can build in a close collaboration, following the example of the Harrier, new opportunities for Tata Motors to play, I would say, more advanced. Some will actually experience that playing more aggressively on all of these four letters, because there are opportunities for collaboration on all of it. On connected, no doubt. Although we might need different features in the Indian market, and we possibly need a different, let's say, a software version, so to say. But electric, on effectively all of the components, from the battery to the battery management, etc. The opportunities to learn from each other. Will we necessarily be able to actually use each other?
So more than product,
technology
transfer. Okay.
Technology transfer, and this is something we need to play more intensively in order to leverage the advanced technology available with Jaguar Land Rover being in the premium luxury segment. But it doesn't mean that there is no affordable adaptation of technology possible for Tata Motors in order to make a step change and to start differentiating ourselves on all of these four key letters for the future.
Right. Well,
because that's what we actually, for what we stand for. Connecting aspirations is a future leading commitment, not just dealing with the presence.
So this could also be a global product for you. This could kickstart maybe your international operations. I know you still have it, but it's very, I would say, not very aggressive. This could kind of pole vault you into a lot of international markets.
It gives at least a flavor that Tata Motors can do a real global product.
And you would look at some global markets.
And a global product produced by Tata Motors in India, and in the first instance for India, does still have the opportunity to go global, as all of the other future products on the Omega architecture, but even more so on the Alpha architecture, and possibly even more so in the context of new powertrain solutions as it is electric, certainly give some new fuel to the consideration of stepping out of the Indian market as our home play and predominant play.
Guenter, wish you all success.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.